Hello and welcome to the Stamperia Coffee and Chocolate mini album tutorial series designed for Scrap and Create. If you are just joining the series, all of these products that I'm using here are linked in the description box below to the Scrap and Create website, where you can just click on those products to follow along. In today's tutorial, we are going to wrap up and finish the album. So we are going to start by decorating the hinges, then we will decorate the covers, add our pages in, and then we're going to start to add some of the embellishments and the photo mats to those pages. To start, I've taken my 8x8 coffee bean paper. I've cut 2 strips to 1/4 by 7.5 inches. Now these 2 strips, one is going to go right here, right in front of the first hinge, and I'm going to put it right up against that hinge so that it's leaving a border by that score line. Then the second piece is going to go here on the back. Same thing, I'm going to place this one here on this back space between the hinge and the cover. Using the 8x8 papers again, I've cut my pieces. There are 11 of them. They are 3/8 of an inch by 7.5 inches. Now I'm going to be placing this piece here on this hinge. I'm going to skip the next piece. I'm not going to place any pieces where the hinges are mitered. That's where my page is going to go on. Then I'm going to flip over and I'm going to place the next piece on the next flat section of my hinge. Then I'll place one on the spine in this hinge section. Then I'm going to come here and place one on this section. I'm going to skip the next, and I'm going to repeat that process until I cover all of my hinges. Now that all of my hinges are completely covered except for the areas where my pages are going to go, we're going to start in on the front cover and the back cover. So I have my coffee bean paper left. The piece that I had allowed me to cut 2 pieces that are 1 5/8 of an inch by 7.5 inches. So I'm going to place one here on the inside front cover and then one on the inside back cover. Then from this 12 by 12 paper, I've cut 2 strips to 2 3/4 by 7.5. I'm going to place one here on my back cover and one here on my front cover. You want to make sure when you place these that they are not too close to that score line so that they do not go in that fold whenever the book is closed. Then from my 12 by 12 paper, I cut off first that top strip. So I just cut it so that the rope is actually visible at the top. And then I've cut this to 7.5 inches. And then I cut it right down the middle at 6 inches. Now I'm going to overlap these papers just slightly. I'm going to put that one here, and I'm going to put this one here on my front cover. Now, if you want, you can leave the ends open so you can tuck some things behind it and you can just glue the center down, or you can just add some glue to the top and the bottom and have this be a belly band where you can tuck things behind it too, or you can just glue the entire thing down. Now, I'm just going to glue the entire paper down, so everything is going to be completely flat. I am going to add some decorations to my front cover first. I have this coffee cup here that was from the Collectables Papers, and I'm just going to place this one down here. Now I haven't inked my edges yet, so I will ink my edges before I place this down. And then I have this that says coffee. It's also from the Collectables paper, and I'm going to use this to cover where the cafe piece was cut from the paper. So I am going to overlap this with the clock and place this here. And the same thing for the back cover. I have chocolate cut out, and I have one of the little heart-shaped chocolates that I'm going to place right on top of that rest of the cafe sign. And then I am going to place this chocolate font here, and it's going to overlap that clock a little bit. And then down here I have this little pastry that I'm going to place down here as well. So I'm going to go ahead and ink all of those edges and apply those to my covers. I'm going to start putting my pages in my album next. So I'm going to be using my tacky glue for this step. If you prefer double-sided tape, that is okay to use too. I just do the glue. And I'm going to be placing my adhesive on this entire piece here and here, both sides of my first hinge. You want to make sure that you do not go past that score line though, because you will see that once your page is on. So just placing the adhesive above that hinge, or above that score line, but on the whole entire part of the hinge. Like I said, you want to do this on both sides, and you want to make sure that you don't put so much glue that it seeps out once you place your page on this hinge. The reason that these hinges are angled on the ends is because it'll help the page to slide on, but then it won't go any further than that score line once you get that page on. So it's a really nice way to put your pages on. So I'm going to put my fingers in here in the pocket. I'm going to slide my pocket right over my hinge. This will be much easier for you. I'm trying not to get my head in frame. I may have to just to be able to do this. Sometimes this can be really tricky. It's one of the harder things to do when you're on video. Trying not to get my head in that frame. There we go. So once it's on, I'm going to slide it down until it can't go any further. It should be right on that score line. You want to make sure that everything is straight. Go ahead and press that down, flip over, make sure that it's also straight on the back side, and then use your bone folder to press this down onto that hinge so that it adheres really well. So now we have our first page in our album. We're going to repeat that with the second hinge. So I'm going to start by placing my adhesive on both sides of my hinge, and then place my page right over top of my hinge, bringing it all the way down to that score line, lining everything up, pressing it down, flip it over, make sure everything's lined up on the back side, and then burnish this down. Next, we'll repeat that same process with hinge number 3 and page number 3, starting with your adhesive on both sides of your hinge. Now I'm going to place that hinge between those pages, slide it all the way down to the score line, make sure everything's lined up, press it down, flip it over, make sure everything's straight on the back side, and then burnish this down. Then we're going to repeat the process with the fourth and final page. So go ahead and place your adhesive first on your hinge on both sides. I'm going to place my hinge right over top of, or my page right over top of that hinge, all the way down to the score line, press it down, flip it over, check to make sure it's lined up, and then burnish this down. Now we have all 4 of our pages in our book. I'm going to go ahead and close this and latch this, and what you will see is that this cover does slant down this way, so there is plenty of room. I'm going to bring it this way. There's plenty of room still for me to go ahead and add some embellishments and photo mats so that this will be a full album, not overly stuffed, but definitely some room to grow. Next, we're going to go ahead and go through and add some more embellishments to those pages and the photo mats. From my die cuts, I have this clock. It's the exact same clock as this, and I'm actually going to be putting this inside of here just because I like the look of that double layer. I just think it looks kind of neat. but I'm going to actually peel a layer of this off of here so that it's not quite as bulky. I might end up peeling a couple layers off, but I don't want quite as much bulk on this piece. Since I hadn't originally planned on adding this, I don't want to start getting too thick right from the start. So I'm going to take some of this off. Oh good, I can get this second layer off too. That was a pretty thick layer, so that should be good. So I've got this little tiny thinner layer left, and I'm just going to adhere this right down to the center of my clock already on the cover. Now for the front of page 1, I have this chipboard piece. I actually just peeled one layer off the back, and the reason I did is because I don't really like the shiny paper on the back of these pieces. I don't feel like it sticks down quite as well. So I'm just going to peel that layer off, and I'm going to be placing my coffee cup right there. Then I have this little heart piece that I'm also going to peel some layers off. In this one, I was able to get multiple layers. So I've just got that thin top layer, and I'm going to adhere this one down like this. Once these two pieces are on, I'm going to open up and come inside and place a couple of pieces here. First one I'm going to place is this little bag. This is from the Collectables sheets, and I'm going to adhere this here, but I'm only going to adhere the left edge and the bottom edge down. So I'm just going to place my adhesive like this. That way a photo can slide behind it. And I'm going to angle this slightly right on top of that old coffee part of the paper. So now a photo, if placed on that page, can go behind that sack of coffee. For this page, I've got this piece from the papers. I can't remember if this is from the Collectables or the 8x8. And I'm going to place these up here like this. I'm going to start with this one and only adhering down the top and right edge. And I'm going to place this just out of the corner, so there's a very tiny border around that. And then this, I'm going to overlap this. So this side will have adhesive, and then the top edge will also have adhesive, but the rest will be open so that that photo can slide down behind it. And I'm going to try to place this so it's more centered on the page. And I'm also putting it up here at the top into that cardstock, so it's almost at the complete top of the page. Flipping over to the inside, we're going to come over here, and I have this. This is from the 8x8 paper. I'm going to place this here. I have this little coffee cup. It's from the Collectables paper, and I'm going to place this here. And I have this that's from the 8x8 paper, and I'm going to place this here. So I'm going to first add the cake, and I'm only going to adhere down the left half, leaving the rest open because it will be over top that wood grain paper, and a photo might end up behind this. So I'll start here. Then I'm going to apply my adhesive to my coffee cup. Coffee cup's gonna go there. The little cupcake is only going to get adhesive on the left half. And then I'm going to tuck it in here like this. Coming over here, I have some pieces from the Collectables. So I've got this, then I've got this little sack of coffee beans here that I'm going to place like this. And then this, I believe, is from the 8x8 paper, and I'm going to place this up here at the top of my map. Next, we're going to focus on the photo mat for behind that belly band. So I already have my piece cut and inked from before, so it's 7.5 by 5.5. I've taken this piece from my 12 by 12 paper and I just cut this down to 7.25. It was already cut this direction to 4 3/4, so I'm going to use it like that, placing this here on the bottom part of my photo mat. Then I've cut this strip off of my 12 by 12 paper. I've cut it off of this piece. It was down at the bottom, so I've just cut this to the width of my strip, and then this is 7.25 inches. Now I'm going to place this here at the top of my photo mat. And then I've cut this from that same paper to put in the center. And then this, I believe, is from the Collectables paper. And then so is this. So I'm going to tuck these in here like this for the front of my photo mat. For the back of my photo mat, I have a piece that measures 7.25 by 4 3/4. This is from the 12 by 12 paper. I'm going to place this here on the bottom. And then this piece was the other part of this border strip from that 12 by 12 paper. So I've cut this to 7.25, and I'm going to adhere this here on the top of the mat. From my 8x8 paper, I did cut this little piece here, and I'm going to apply adhesive just to the top portion of this. Then I'm going to place this, here at the top right corner. That way, if you need to put the photo mat underneath of it, or the photo underneath of it, it will slide underneath. If there's a larger photo, you just place it right over top and you would never even know that that was there. Once that's finished, I'm going to go ahead and slide this underneath my belly band and place it up here at the top. So the next thing I'm going to do is come in here and make my photo mat for my pocket. For each of my 4 pockets, I'm going to make a photo mat that measures 8 3/4 by 7.25. And I'm going to be placing little pools so that you'll see them in these little cutouts. Now I'm using my twine for this, and I've cut a 5-inch piece of twine that I'm going to fold in half, and then I'm going to fold in half again, so I have a double pool. But what I'm going to do is, once I have it doubled once, I'm going to place a charm on here. So I have my first charm from Scrap and Create. It's that little tiny coffee cup, and I'm going to just place my twine through there. Once I have my charm on my twine, I've gone ahead and marked the center of my photo mat. So I'm just going to place my adhesive here first, and I'm going to take the ends and apply my adhesive right to that. Then I'm going to flip over and apply my adhesive to the back side and tuck these ends into the back side so that there's just a small loop. I'm going to trim those ends off a little bit because they are actually larger than I needed them to be. I wasn't sure how big of a loop I'd want when I first started this. So now I have my little charm dangling from the end, which you will see sticking out of here. For the front of my photo mat, I've cut this piece, so it is 8 inches, and I trimmed this to 7 inches. I've inked my edges. I'm going to place this here on the left side of the page. Now for the back, I've cut this piece, same thing, it's the 8x8 paper, so it's 8 inches by 7 inches, but I'm gonna set this aside for now. I'm going to use this piece though from the bottom, and I trimmed this to 7 inches. So it's 1 inch by 7 inches. I'm going to be placing this here on the edge to cover up the ends of my twine. Then I've got the back piece of this. I flipped it over to this side and I've cut this to 7 inches. I'm going to do the same thing on the back side, placing my chocolate paper over here to the right, and then placing my small strip over here, covering the ends of my twine. Once I had my papers put on, I did go ahead and cut this little piece from the 8x8 paper. I adhered it completely down. It's not open at all because this is going in and out of the pocket. I don't want it to catch on anything. So the photo, if the photo is large, will cover that. But I'm assuming that the photos could be placed, away from that too. On the back side, I did the same thing with this one up here, and then I did one of the cut aparts here. Once this photo mat is finished, I'm going to go ahead and place it here in my pocket, sliding it all the way in. And then you'll see that my little coffee cup does dangle down here, and then you can see through the notch to know to pull that out. Next, we're going to move on to decorating the back side of the page. I took these two pieces from the 8x8 papers. I backed them on some cardstock. My cardstock piece is 2 inches by 4 inches. I've inked the edges, and I'm going to be placing this here on the left side of my flap. Then I have my little chipboard chocolate banner. I'm going to place it right over top of this banner on the paper just to give it some dimension. Then I have this piece that's cut out from the Collectables paper. I'm going to place this here. And then I've got these two little chocolate curls from my chipboard pieces. I'm going to place one up here, and I'm going to place one down here. Once those pieces are on, I'm going to open up to the inside. Now from my Collectables paper, I cut this piece, and I'm going to place this here. And it will be sticking out slightly here, but you won't really tell. I'm going to place my adhesive on this left edge and the bottom, and then I'm going to adhere this down here. That way the photo, if you have a larger photo, will tuck behind this piece. Then I have cut from my Collectables paper some of the little chocolate pieces. And I am going to be placing these down here. I'm going to use the grid on my mat to make sure that these are centered. And I'm going to be placing these in, actually I think I'm going to do it off to the side. And the photo, if you put a 4x6 photo, will cover those when you place it on there, or you could put a smaller 4x4 photo. These are going to be adhered completely down flat so that nothing can tuck behind them. Now, if you have your photos and you know what size your photos are, you can leave them open if you have your photo already in here and decorate it that way. But these ones are going to be just decoration until the photos are in the album. Once those ones are on, I'm going to come up here to the top. I have two more of these pieces, and I'm going to be placing those here. Again, I am going to adhere these straight down to my page. And I'm just going to layer these two right on top of each other like this. I did remove the photo mat that was holding this flap closed. Now on the back side from this 12 by 12, I just cut this piece to 4 1/4 by 6 1/4, and I'm going to adhere this right down to the center of my photo mat. Then I do have this remaining piece from the previous photo mat we cut, and I'm just going to place this here. I'm only going to adhere the ends onto the cardstock, that way the photo will slide underneath of it. From my 8x8 paper, I have this little tiny piece that I am going to adhere down here to the bottom portion of my band. That way it's only on the band, and again, that photo will tuck behind it. This is what the back of my photo mat looks like, so I'm just going to set this aside for now. Then I'm going to come inside of here and work on this piece. Now I have a piece for here. This is from the 12x12. I'm going to adhere this down here. Then I have my little spoon. This is cut from the 8x8 papers. I'm going to place this just along the side of my tag, and then this is also from my 8x8 papers, and I'm going to place this up here at the top of my tag. I've cut a photo mat to 6.5 by 4.5 and inked my edges. For the front, I've cut a piece of this 12x12 paper. It is 4.25 by 6.25, and I'm just going to place this here right on the center of that. Then from my collectibles paper, I've cut this blue coffee cup, and I'm just going to adhere this down here just to give it a little pop of color. Then on the back side, I have this paper left over from the 12x12. It's cut down to 4.25 by 5.75, and I'm going to place this here. Then I have this was from the collectibles paper, and I've cut this down to 4.25 inches, and I'm going to adhere this down to the side here for the photo mat back. Here is the photo mat complete, so I'm going to place this down here in the bottom. You could also place the photo mat like this if you wanted to be able to see more of your paper. But I'm going to place mine down here towards the bottom. I'm going to close this and open these. Then this one, I've decided, since this is here, it was catching a little bit on the page, I'm just going to turn mine around for right now. And I'm going to stick this here in the center and close that up. We are all finished with page 1, so we're going to move on to decorating page 2. For the front of my flap, I have one of my chipboard pieces. I did peel off some of the back layers. I'm going to place this up here off to the side. Then I have my little rolls, my chipboard piece here. I am going to peel this back layer off of this as well. And I'm going to place it down at the bottom right on these little chocolate, I don't know if these are supposed to be cinnamon sticks or chocolate rolls, but I'm going to place those right here. And then I have one of my little chipboard leaves that I'm going to place here on the corner of my sign. The first piece I will put on the inside is this from the collectibles, and I'm just going to place this here. If you would prefer, you can also just place some things inside of here as pullouts, because these are little journaling cards, but I'm going to just adhere this down to that. Then I have this that is from the, I believe this is from the 12x12 paper. I'm going to adhere just this bottom portion there. Then I have just a leftover piece of the coffee bean paper I've cut to 4.25 inches, and I'm going to place it here with this. And I'm going to place this just on that band. And I'm just going to adhere down the ends so that a photo can slide up underneath of there. Then on the back of this photo mat, I cut a piece from the 12x12 paper. It's 4x6. I'm going to place this here, and then I'm going to put this here on that page. I'm going to place it down, and then when a photo is on it, it will cover that up, unless it's smaller. But you can also, if you don't want to cover that up, you can adhere down just the corners, and then your photo will tuck behind it. Next, I'm going to make my photo mat for my pocket. So this measures 8 3/4 by 7 1/4. I've marked here in the center, and I'm just going to place some adhesive down here. Just like with the first one, I have a loop of twine, and I have placed on this loop of twine the cupcake charm from Scrap and Create. So I'm going to first adhere these ends into that adhesive. Then I'm going to loop this around and apply more adhesive to the back side. For the front of my photo mat, I'm using this 8 by 8 paper. I did cut 1 inch off the top, so this measures 7 inches by 8 inches. This is going to go here on the left side. And then I've cut a piece to 1 inch by 7 inches. It's actually from this paper here. It was this piece right here. I'm going to use it on this side though, and I'm going to place this like that. Then flipping over, I've got my 8 by 8 paper. I cut a 1 inch strip off the top. I'm going to place this over here on the right. Then this piece is actually the strip that was off this paper here. And I'm going to use this side where it says coffees and place it here. Then I have my 2 little cut apart pieces that I'm going to be placing. I'm going to place this one here. And this one here. Going to close up my flaps, and this is what my photo mat looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and place this here in my pocket. And then just like the coffee cup, the cupcake charm will hang down here. I have this chipboard piece. I did peel some layers off of the back of it. I'm going to be placing this up here in this top left corner. Then I have this chipboard piece with the chocolate squares that I'm going to place right over the chocolate squares on the paper. This I have cut from, I believe it's the 12 by 12 paper. I'm going to place this right over top of the paper here. And then I have this chipboard piece that I'm going to place up here in this corner here. Now I'm going to keep the inside pretty simple. So I've just got these 2 pieces that I've cut. I'm going to place this one here right at the top of this flap. And then I've got my little cupcake that I'm going to place here, mostly on the coffee bean paper, just a little bit here, but I'm not going to adhere this one down. So I'm going to place my adhesive on mostly the entire piece except for that right edge. And then overlapping that way that photo can slide up underneath of there if needed. And then this one I will place entirely down on the page. If you want to be able to slide your photo up underneath of it, you can just adhere the top part down. But I'm going to put mine up high enough that the photo should be able to fit still on the page. The first piece I have is this little coffee cup from the Collectables, and I'm going to place this here. Now I am going to only adhere down the right edge and the bottom portion of this so that that photo will slide underneath. If you want to adhere it down completely, you can. Then I'm going to open this one up first. From my Collectables paper, I have this. I'm only going to adhere down the right corner and the bottom. And I'm going to place this down here in the corner. Then I have this little heart piece that I'm going to adhere up here. And I'm going to adhere this entire piece down in the corner. Then I have this chocolate bar piece here that I'm going to only adhere the top and the right edge down to my page. So I'll place this here. Opening up in this direction, for my photo mat here, for my pocket, I've cut a piece of cardstock to 6.5 by 4.5. For my 12 by 12 paper, I've cut this piece to 6.25 by 4.25. I'm going to place here on the front. Then from my collectibles, I've cut 2 little pieces here of the desserts, and I'm just going to layer them here down like that. Then on the back side, I have another piece of my 12 by 12 paper cut to 6.25 by 4.25 that I'm going to place here on the back. For my pocket, I have my photo mat measuring 8.75 by 7.25. I haven't inked the edges yet, I just realized that, so I do need to go ahead and do that first. And then I'm going to add my charm here on the center. So I have my little spoon that I'm going to be placing here, just like I did the other photo mats. Just like with my other pieces, I've got my adhesive here in the center. I'm going to place these ends in my adhesive. Then I'm going to flip this over and apply my adhesive to the back side. And then place those ends in that adhesive. For the front of my photo mat, I'm using this 8 by 8 paper. I have cut 1 inch off of the bottom, so this is 7 inches by 8 inches. I will place this here on the left side. Then for the back, I've cut this one, and I've cut 1 inch off of the bottom, so this is 8 by 7. This inch that I cut off the bottom, I trimmed to 7 inches, and I'm going to place this here down this side. Flipping over, I've got this piece for here, and then I've taken one of my scrap pieces from the 12 by 12 papers, and I've cut this down to 1 inch by 7 inches, and I'm going to place this over here on the left side. I did go ahead and add one of the cupcake pieces from the collectibles here and one of the coffee cups from the collectibles here. So I'm going to take my completed photo mat and place it here in the pocket. And then the spoon will dangle down. I'm going to start placing the chipboard first. So I've got this piece here I'm going to put down here, and then I've got this little piece. I did peel layers off of these so that they aren't quite as thick, and I'm going to layer these 2 pieces up right here. Then I have my spoon that I'm going to place down here, but I want to make sure that it doesn't cover up the coffee, so I'm going to make sure that the handle is down here. And then I've got this piece, again I peeled the backing off of it and peeled some of the layers, and I'm going to place this here. I'm going to keep the inside of these pretty simple. So from my collectibles paper, I have the chocolate sign, and I'm going to only adhere the top portion here so the photo will slide under. And then I have from the collectibles, one of the coffee grinders, and I'm going to adhere this straight down to the page here, right there. From the collectibles papers, I've cut this piece I'm going to place down here, and I've got this little coffee cup too. I'm going to just layer these up on my flap here. Then I'm going to open up, and on this one, I'm going to place this over here so that it will be hidden by this flap. So I don't want it to be here where you can see that. I'm going to have it hidden over here so you only see it after you open your flap. I'm going to adhere this completely down. My purpose was not to place a photo here. Obviously you could if you want to, it is large enough, but I like to have some of the decorative paper showing, so my thought was to place photos here and here. Now for the center, I have this from the Collectables, and I think I'm going to place this down here. I will only be adhering this bottom portion of my piece down. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do that now. If you want to make sure that this is perfectly centered, obviously you can measure it. I am just going to eyeball it, and I'm actually going to pull it all the way down here so that a larger photo will fit there. For my photo mat for my pocket, I've cut a piece to 8 3/4 by 7 1/4. I've marked the center of my piece, so I'm going to go ahead and apply my adhesive. I have my final one of my pieces from Scrap and Create. This one is a clock, so I've got my charm on my twine, so I'm going to go ahead and place the ends into my adhesive. Then I'm going to flip over and apply more adhesive to the back side. And then apply these ends into my adhesive here. From the 8 by 8 paper, I've cut this to 8 inches by 7 inches. It's going to go here. And then I've cut a piece from the 12 by 12. I don't remember what the rest of this piece looks like. Oh, I think it's this one here. I cut a piece of this, 1 inch by 7 inches, and I'm going to place this here. Then I've cut this from the Collectables paper, and I'm going to place this down here. Flipping over on the back side, I use the 12 by 12 paper. I'm going to use the wooden side. You can use the chocolate side if you prefer. This is cut to 8 inches by 7 inches. I'm going to place this here. Then I've taken the strip that I cut from the front page that was the 8 by 8 paper. It's 1 inch by 7 inches. I'm going to place this here. And then I have this piece from the Collectables paper, and I'm going to place this up here. Now that this photo mat is finished, I'm going to go ahead and place this one in the pocket. And the clock will hang down like that. Starting with the chipboard pieces, I did peel the layers off the back. I've already actually adhered these down. So I have my little chocolate cupcake here, and I've got my little chocolate swirls here. All these pieces have some layers peeled off of them so they're not so thick. And then I have this chipboard piece that I peeled almost all of the layers off of. Now I'm going to apply my adhesive to this, and this is going to go on the back cover right where this one is on the page. So just over top of the one that's already there. And next we're going to come inside of these pages and add a little bit of decorations and a photo mat. The first piece I'm going to put on is this one. I can't remember if it's from the Collectables or the 8 by 8 paper. I'm going to only be adhering down the left portion of the piece. So I'm going to put my adhesive on and apply it here so that it's mostly on that chocolate bar, but then some of it does extend onto that solid paper. Then here I have this piece from the Collectables, and I'm only going to be adhering down this bottom section. That way the photo can slide behind it, but I'm going to be placing this down fairly low on my page. Then at the top, I'm going to place my piece completely on the page in the center, up at the top. So now that photo should be able to sit right here. Then over here, from my 8 by 8 paper, I have the small tag, and I'm only going to be applying adhesive to the right edge and placing this over here. So that way a photo will slide up behind it. And that's all I'm going to be placing on the pages. I'm going to come back and add one photo mat here. For the photo mat, I've cut one piece to 4¼ 6 and for my photo mat, I've cut one piece of cardstock to 6½ by 4½ and inked my edges. Now for the front, I've got this piece here, 4¼ by 6¼ This is actually the front cover of the paper pad from the 12 by 12 paper. So I'm going to place this here on the front, and then from the collectibles, I've cut this coffee cup and I'm going to place this down here. Then on the back side, I'm going to piece this together. So I have a piece of the 12 by 12 paper. It measures 1¼ by 4¼ I'm going to place this down here at the bottom. Then I have this leftover piece. This was the only piece that I had. So it measures 4¼ by about 5 3/8. And I'm just going to adhere this here to the back side of the photo mat. So this is the photo mat, and I'm going to place this just inside of here. That way, if a photo is there, you'll still be able to see that photo with that photo mat. So I'm going to go ahead and close this up, and we are finished decorating all of our inside pages for the album. So my charm pack from Scrap and Create contained 6 of these. I have several of these from other packages or paper packs that I've gotten from Scrap and Create. So I'm having 2 of these from another package. If you only have 6 of them, you can use 4 of them, and you're going to put these around here. I'm going to use 8, and I'm going to put them on all of my corners. So I'm going to apply the first 4, though, if in case you only have 4, I'm going to apply these to these 4 corners around this set of coffee cups here, this chipboard piece that we made before. Now, if you happen to have more of these because you've also purchased papers from Scrap and Create, you can also do what I'm doing and put some around the 4 corners on the outside edges. I have this leftover piece from the 12 by 12 paper. This is about all I have left, but this coffee from Plantation to Cut piece was on here. So I trimmed this down, and then I found a piece of darker paper from the 12 by 12 that I just backed this on. And I'm going to be placing this down here. I'm going to take these off. I haven't adhered these down yet. I'm going to place this down here on the bottom portion of my album. I'm going to place some of my coffee beans just down here along the bottom like this. So there's 5 of them, and that's how I'm going to place mine. And then I've got these 2 from my 12 by 12 papers. I tied a twine bow through this one, and I tied a twine bow, but I put the last charm from Scrap and Create here. Now, since I already adhered these pieces down, I did go ahead and lift these up a little bit just so that I can tuck these tags in here underneath. I'm going to be tucking this one here with this one on top of it. So this one, I want these to go like this. So I'm actually going to take and adhere these together first. Then I'm just going to add some adhesive to the backs. And then press these down. And I'm actually going to leave the tops up and curled a little bit to give this just a little bit of dimension, like that. So the last thing I'm going to do is go ahead and adhere these on, and then we will be done with our album. I'm going to go ahead and let all of my pieces completely dry before I do anything, but we are finished with decorating our Stamperia Coffee and Chocolate album. I hope you have enjoyed this tutorial series and the album that you have created if you followed along. If you are just joining the tutorial series, You can check out the description box below for the links for all of the Stamperia Coffee and Chocolate papers that are available on the Scrap and Create website. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.